Good morning. It's good to be here with everyone. Good to see you. Good to be back in person. Just been so used to teaching virtually and having to click on your profile or mute you. Some of y'all still haven't learned how to mute your lines yet. So trying to figure that out. But it's good to be back in person. See a lot of familiar faces with you all today. So good to see some familiar faces. I was with some of your colleagues yesterday, and we had a good time. I was at Westphalia. Did I say that right? Westphalia, like amazing, beautiful facility. It was my first time going there. So thank you again for allowing me to be here. Thank you, Steve and Tara, Tony, for getting us situated. I had some like great things to say to like get us started, but I feel like Wanda and Crystal and Tara, like they gave you all the kudos that you already need. So I don't know that I need to say anything else to give you a pat on your back, but I do want to say thank you on behalf of just a member of the community, right? You know, not from your leadership, not from people who, are trying to motivate you and inspire you to do a good job, but for someone who grew up in this community, right? You know, I grew up in Fort Washington, Oxon Hill, lived in Mount Rainier, live in Bowie now, have been in all, I won't say all the facilities, but a lot of the facilities. Saw my first fight at Padgett's Corner. Somebody got knocked out at Padgett's Corner when I was a kid. I'll never forget that. I was just here a few weeks ago for a gymnastics competition. So those like crazy gymnastics numbers that you had on the screen, like I've seen that firsthand. And I really appreciate the work that you do. Right? I travel across the country, and I know that there is no park and recreation system that can hold a candle to what you all do, like the impact that you all make. So give yourselves a hand for just persevering, being able to make an impact. It does make a difference. I'll talk a little bit about why the work that you do is important, but I don't take it for granted. I know sometimes it feels like a thankless job. You got to deal with crazy people and crazy situations and just a lot of chaos sometimes, but it makes a difference in people's lives. So thank you for that. As Tara said when you all started, it's been a long time since you all have been together, right? 3 years, right? And so I want to talk a little bit about what has changed. Calling this presentation Adapting to the New Normal. We're in a new normal now, right? Post-COVID, things have changed, people have changed, energy have changed, dynamics have changed, relationships have changed. And so we want to make sure that you all are prepared to deal with this new normal, right? Most of you all have been working throughout the pandemic anyway, right? A lot of you all, yeah. So this is probably not new for you all. But what's different is the people that you all have been serving. They are different now. They are bringing something different. They have a different energy. And so I want to share some of those things with you. So let's talk a little bit about what's new, what has changed. Obviously, COVID-19 was a game changer for everybody, right? Just the amount of cleaning, the amount of fear, the amount of energy that all went into dealing with that environment, made a big difference in what we were doing, taking virtual classes, connecting with people virtually and trying to find ways to continue to run our facilities and make sure that the people were safe. So, that was a deal breaker, a game changer for everybody that you all have done an amazing job of adjusting to. But again, coming out of that environment, our community, our people have changed. What else has changed? During the past 3 years, we had a huge social justice movement that was going on in this country, right? We had Black Lives Matter, we had All Lives Matter, Animal Lives Matter, like everything mattered, right? Everybody wanted to get their little piece of the pie, their time in the spotlight, their time in the sun. And so, your community members, your patrons, your stakeholders are bringing that energy with them, right? They're not the same folks that just, came into your centers and just kind of, went on about their day and used your facilities. Like they got a little edge to them now, right? Things aren't as cool and as smooth as they were before. So we want to make sure that we recognize that. You want to make sure that we understand that the situation, the environment, the way that people feel is a little bit different. All right, what else has changed? The political environment has changed. January 6th, we had this little I think they called it a dust-up. Did they call it a dust-up at the Capitol? Right? Maybe a dust-up. I don't know. I didn't use those. Not my words. Don't get mad at me. But people have really been dug into their political stances, right? You know, what side of the aisle they on? What's going on? What we're willing to fight for? You know, and so again, you know, you're not just dealing with folks who are just coming to utilize your facilities. You have people that are bringing some stuff with them. And it's not that they didn't always have it with them. It's that now it's out a little bit more. We're a little bit more comfortable to say those things that we may have only said inside of our houses, or maybe only tweeted online, or maybe only posted on our social media accounts. But now, I see it on MSNBC, I see it on CNN, I see it on social media and on the news and the newspaper. Guess what? I'm going to say it too. So if you got on a t-shirt that I don't like, if you got a bumper sticker that I don't like, I'm going to tell you about it, because that's the environment that we are in. And then we have some new work arrangements. Crystal just talked about a new process for doing things online and teaching virtual classes, being able to be more efficient with how we are getting things done in the digital economy, right? I feel sorry for kids these days. Why, y'all shaking y'all know why I feel sorry for them. They don't get snow days anymore. If you grew up in this area, you knew that snow days was the thing, right? Right? We get up early in the morning, turn that TV on, and you waiting to see waiting. And you will call your friends in D.C. like, y'all still gotta go to school. We in Fiji, we get to go home, right? They don't do that anymore. But what does that do to parents? Now parents got to figure it out. What am I going to do? Where am I going to take my kids? How am I going to figure out? Because I still got to go to work, but they don't get snow days anymore, right? So this new work arrangement doesn't just affect the way that we do work, but it impacts the community and the people that we serve. And then we have some socioeconomic challenges, right? You know, the economy has been up and down. Anybody try to buy a house in PG County in the past 2 or 3 years? Or anywhere. The economy was crazy, right? People bidding $10, $20, $30, $40,000 over, asking prices for houses that they never even seen before. Never even seen. And then they bought it, and immediately they had buyer's regret because the economy went, pfft. Homelessness is going up. Economy is crazy. Stock market is up and down. I check my stock market every day, and I had to remove the app. I don't even want to look anymore because it's all red. And so again, I come to your facilities and I'm frustrated because my portfolio has lost 50% in the past 2 days. I'm not mad at you, but I'm frustrated. I gotta take it out on somebody, right? So you all got to make sure that you are aware of those dynamics and be able to be prepared for it. And then changing family dynamics, right? My daughter was born in 2019. She has changed my entire life and changed my dynamics and changed the way that I see the world, changed the things that I do. But a lot of people have different family dynamics now. Some people have kids that are going away to college. Some people got new kids. Some people have family members that they have to take care of. Some people have lost some family members, and so they used to have a whole lot of people in their house. Now they're living at home by themselves, and they're trying to figure this thing out. And so all of these changing dynamics are taking place. So we got to figure it out. As I was talking to Tara and Steve preparing for this presentation and just thinking about it, one of the great things that I like to do every morning, I didn't get a chance to do it today, is I walk my daughter to school every morning, right? Drop her off, and I think I'm doing a good job. I'm trying to teach her like old school hip hop, right? I'm teaching her Tupac and KRS-One and Nas, and I'm thinking I'm doing a great job. I don't know if she's been watching TikTok with her mom, but she's learning how to do this. I don't know what that is, right? She wants to listen to Uzi Vert now. I don't even know who Uzi Vert is, right? But, walking her to school, I think about the old school hip hop songs, and one person I used to enjoy listening to was Rakim, right? Y'all remember Rakim? I know we're going way back with Rakim, right? But Rakim, his thing was the R. He was the 18th letter. He would always put up his fist and he was like the R. So I was preparing for this presentation and I had the idea to talk to you all about resilience, and I was an R. So I'm like, we just talked about Rakim this morning and we got this R, and so my wheels started turning. I said, okay, what are some other R's that I can connect to this presentation? So my baby inspired this presentation, and so today we're going to talk about the 4 R's of the new normal. The 4 R's of the new normal: resilience, relationships, results, and reflection. There was a study that came out last year, and the U.S. Surgeon General put out this report about mental health. Percent of workers reported at least one symptom of a mental health condition. 84% said they experienced some workplace conditions that contribute to mental health challenges. 81% of the workers reported that they will be looking for workplaces that support mental health in the future. This report specifically focused on the workplace post-COVID. So something was going on during that lockdown that now people are either more willing to talk about mental health issues in the workplace or they feel it differently. Anybody onboarded during the pandemic? Onboarded virtually, right? I remember being on board and coming onto my team and meeting people and knowing where the restrooms are and where we go to lunch, and you do that virtually, you kind of feel alone. You kind of feel left out there, and so, it doesn't feel the same way. And so we know that, these mental health issues, if they are real in the workplace, all I got to do is open my door, turn on the TV to know that they're real in our community, and they're real in what we are dealing with our people every single day. And so we got to figure out, how can we create some positions for us to be more resilient? First thing we got to be able to do is accept and embrace change. I know they don't say that around. I've been working with you all for long enough to know that they don't say this around here. But in some of the organizations I've been in before, I hear this a lot. They say, we can't do this because this is the way that we always used to do it. We can't do this new. I know y'all don't say that here, right? But I've heard that before. We can't do this new thing because this is the way we've always done it. And so resilience means being able to pick up our stake and say, you know what, maybe there's an opportunity to do something different. Because I'm frustrated when I'm continually trying to do the same thing that I always want to do and it's not working, but I'm not willing to change. So having a resilient mindset says, you know what, change is here to stay. We're not going back to the old way. So let me adapt to it and let me embrace it. Because we have to have new thinking to solve old problems. We don't have a lot of new things that we're dealing with. We just got to find out new ways to deal with them. New technology, new people, new relationships, new patterns, new connections, right? How can we make sure that we are creating this environment that the people that we are serving every single day feel good? And so we got to make sure we have new thinking to solve our old problems. And then the last thing about resilience is that you got to find ways to make sure that you and your staff are taking care of themselves. Burnout is real. Stress is real. During the pandemic, I didn't know if I was working from home or if I was in the office sleeping. I didn't know what was going on, right? Because we're just working all day long, sun up to sundown. And I started realizing, man, I saw the sunrise and the sunset today, and I've been at my computer the whole time. I'm burnt out. I don't even want to look in LinkedIn anymore. That just makes me tired with everything that everybody is talking about they're doing in their job. It's just too much. But we got to take care of ourselves. But we got to find some healthy ways to take care of ourselves. Not just something that makes us feel good. Because y'all know that everything that feels good isn't good. Y'all know that, right? I had a friend who has a career coach, and she says he told her that, he developed this little drinking problem during COVID. And he's like, Mike, I didn't even realize it that I had this issue. And he said, my coach said, is there something that you can do that can make you feel as good as you do when you drink, but still is not as bad for your body? We all got to figure out what those things are. Because sometimes in trying to feel good in the moment, we end up feeling worse over time. So whether it's working out, whether it's reading, whether it's singing, sewing, walking, being out in the community, connecting with our friends, whatever that is, you got to figure out what it is that fills you up, that gives you the energy so that you can continue to move forward and make a difference and an impact on the people's lives that you serve every single day, but also the people who are closest to you in your life. So we got to have some resilience. That's the first R. The second R is relationships. Relationships are important. I consider all of you all leaders, right? Whether you have a formal leadership title or not, you are all leaders, because leadership is a function that every organization needs. Leadership does not exist in the sole propriety of one or two people, right? It's not just the division chiefs. It's not just the executive leadership team. It is something that we all have, and the foundation of leadership is relationships. We got to have relationships with people in order to create the environment where people feel good. Because we got to know something about them. We got to know what turns them on. We got to know what turns them off, right? We got to know what do they need. This idea of empathy means imagining what can I do to create this space that makes you feel good. Just imagining that. What can I do? And so when we're thinking about relationships, we got to recognize that we are living in a more diverse culture where people are bringing different perspectives in. And again, we've always had a diverse culture, but now you're seeing it come out a little bit more, whether it's gender affiliations, whether it's political affiliations, whether it is geographical places, whether it's nationalities, right? People are proud of who they are, and they are unapologetic about sharing that and claiming that and celebrating that. And if that makes you uncomfortable, you got to ask yourself why. You got to figure out what is going on that somebody just say, this is who I am. It doesn't impact you. They don't want to bother you. They don't want to deal with you, but this is who I am. But for some reason, I can't do that. Often they say, how I feel about you is not about you, but it's how I feel about myself when I'm in your presence. So if there is something about somebody that's making you feel some type of way, you got to look at yourself, because they probably haven't done anything to you. So we got to understand those relationships. We got to recognize that the people that we serve, they might be coming in with some new expectations now. We talked about all the things that people are dealing with, all the stress in the community, all the pressures, all the finances. So now when I come into your facilities, I want everything to be perfect. I don't want no issues. I don't want no hiccups. I want everything to be smooth sailing. And the moment one thing, you ever stood in line in the grocery store for 2 minutes, you're like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. I've been standing here for 2 minutes. Right? Because we have these expectations now of how we want people to serve us and how we want people to take care of us. And while you all might not feel that way, you all are enlightened. You've been to some great trainings. Some of your people in your facilities don't have that same experience. And so we got to make sure that we understand how to make them feel connected and make them feel valued. And that's what it's about. There's a difference between feeling lonely and feeling disconnected, right? Lonely is I can be in a room of people and still feel like I'm by myself. Disconnected means I'm out the loop. There's some communications going on. There's some emails being sent. I did not get the memo. So it's okay to have people feel disconnected, but we want to make sure that we feel connected with people. We certainly don't want them to feel lonely, But maybe that lonely piece is something that's a little bit too much for us to deal with, right? Maybe they got some stuff going on inside of them that we can't see, we don't know about, we can't feel, and we can't help them to get away from that lonely feeling. But we can make them feel connected. We can make them feel like we appreciate them and we value them. And their presence is something that is significant to us and makes a difference. So we want to use our relationships to help people to feel valued and feel connected. Now we got to think about results. You all don't come to work every day just because, right? Because you're bored, right? You all don't just come here just to kind of make a little bit of noise and tell people what to do and where to go. There is a role that you all have to play. And so we want to make sure that when you're coming to work, you are always thinking about the results and the mission and the vision. So make sure that you have a set vision and some clear goals. I would encourage you every day when you get up in the morning to start thinking about what you want to accomplish with your day. I tell people, we don't do anything good that we don't think about while we're in the shower. That's when I do my best thinking is in the shower or when I'm driving, but now everything is virtual, so I don't drive anymore, right? And so we got to be intentional about creating a vision that's clear for us, goals that are clear for us, because we got to be able to communicate that to our people. We got to make sure that when people come into our facilities, they have a clear feeling that we are trying to translate to them through how we treat them, through the things that we put in place. But we got to be intentional about creating that. We got to understand the difference between being busy and being productive. There's a lot of things that need to get done. I can find a lot of things that can take my time and make me feel like I'm doing something, but am I doing the right thing? Right? We talked about this yesterday. There's a difference. Everything that's urgent isn't important. And you all got to decide how you want to make the decisions on how you're going to manage your time, how you're going to set priorities, because we got plenty of distractions. Somebody picked up their phone and you looked up and you're like, man, I've been on my phone for 15, 20 minutes. Didn't even realize it, right? People coming into our facilities, they start talking to us, got to read emails, we got to go to meetings, we got to come into our all hands meeting and our trainings, and time goes so fast. And so we got to be very intentional and conscious about how we spend our time, because that's the one thing in life that we're not going to get back. It's the most precious resource that we have is our time. So we got to make sure that we're managing our time and managing our priorities effectively. And then the last R is that we got to take some time to be reflective. We got to think about what is important to us, what is important to our facilities. You heard Crystal sharing her story about her family and the experience of helping her kids swim. I'm sure she didn't plan for that to be emotional the way it was. That was real, right? That's important to her, right? All of you all have something that is important to you, something that gets you up in the morning, something that makes you fight through traffic, come to your facilities, deal with the anger and the frustration, the anxiety of all the people that you serve every single day. There is something inside of you that says, this is why I'm doing it. But we got to get in touch with what that why is. We got to remember what our superpower is. All of you all have a superpower. You know what your superpower is? Being yourself. And nobody else be it the way that you are. Somebody can come and get this same presentation. I can get them these same slides. I can fill up this room with the same people, and I guarantee you it's not going to be the same way that I do it. It's still going to be good. Might not be as good as mine. But we all got our different flavor that we add to life. And it makes us unique. And there's some things that you can do that nobody else can do. And so we got to figure out what that thing is that makes us unique, that makes us special. That's your superpower. We talked about this yesterday as well. What's your legacy? How many people have somebody in their life that they can look back at and say, it was this person that did this thing to me that helped me to get where I am today? Raise your hand if you got somebody like that. If you don't find somebody, it's never too late. But also remember that you can be that person to make a difference in somebody's life. You think that just because you're running these facilities that people don't see you, they're not watching you, they don't pay attention, especially the young kids. They're taking notes. I told you my daughter's doing, I don't know where she got that from. She saw it somewhere. She ain't say it from me, I promise you. But you all have an opportunity to create a legacy. Because you all don't have that type of work where you just sit behind a desk and just kind of send emails, right? You all see the public. You all have an opportunity to interact with people, to influence people, to shape people's lives. Don't take that lightly. Don't take it for granted. Don't miss that opportunity to be that person that says, oh man, I remember I came to this facility and this person poured into me. It was always organized. We always had a place to go, right? These facilities have become like a refuge for a lot of us in the community. You go across the country, they don't have facilities like this. I guarantee you. And if they do, they aren't clean, they aren't safe. They're not a place that you really want to hang out. I was in Newark, New Jersey a few weeks ago. Anybody been in Newark, New Jersey? Ooh, they don't got no facilities like this. I promise you, right? And so these communities that you are creating really energize people. They give life to people. They create memorable experiences that can change people's lives. And you all just think you're doing a job. But you are really having the opportunity to change people's lives. And so the question is, are you prepared for the new normal? Are you prepared? We're not going back. Life as we know it has changed forever. And so what do you have to do to put yourself in position to continue to be successful? What do you have to do to put your teams in position to continue to be successful? I don't know what the answer to that question is. But I do know that whatever you do is going to be the result of the choices that you make. The biggest return that you are going to get on anything in life is the investment that you make in yourself and the choices that you make on how you're going to respond, how you're going to initiate, how you're going to communicate, how you're going to create the environment where other people can feel good. That's where your power lies. Not pointing fingers, not blaming, not voting. I didn't say that. It is really the things that you do that makes a difference in people's lives. So this is the new normal. Accept it, understand it, embrace it, get used to it, because it's here to stay. Last thing I want to leave you with. I've told this story a million times. It's one of my favorite stories. I work with my dad. My dad is 78 years old. He's still fighting and kicking. Former military, retired Army guy. Like, he don't play. He don't play. But my dad is an old country boy. He's from Hampton, Virginia. And he tells this story of growing up. Him and my grandfather passed away when I was 3, so I didn't really have a chance to know him. But him and my grandfather used to have these tomato growing competitions. They used to try to compete with each other to see who could grow the biggest, juiciest tomatoes. And every year, my grandfather would beat my dad. And so my dad started cheating. And he would wait for him to go to sleep at night, and he would go into the shed and try to find what seeds, and he'd go, my dad had this competition. What does he use? And he'd try to buy everything every single year. He would lose again. And he kept trying, and he kept trying, and he couldn't figure out. So finally, he pulled my grandfather aside, and he said, Dad, we had this competition every year, and you've been kicking my butt, and I don't understand. I've cheated, I've tried, I've talked to people, I've done everything, I've watched you, I've tried to do everything that you do, but I can't seem to get my tomatoes as bright and juicy and as big as yours. What are you doing? My grandfather sat back in his chair and looked at him, and he said, son, what you don't see that I do is before I plant these seeds, I take some time to get the soil ready. I take some time to work in the soil to make sure that when I'm planting my seeds, that it's ready to receive. And so this class that you're in today, this work that you're doing, every time you go to a training, every time you sit in a meeting, all you're doing is getting the soil ready. All you're doing is preparing yourself for what's going to happen when you actually have that moment of truth, when you have to engage with your community members, when you have to engage with your residents, when you have to engage with your staff, right? So the question is your soil ready? Are you ready? Are you going to take these opportunities to learn, to grow, to develop as just an opportunity to get some juice and muffins? Or are you going to take these as opportunities to learn, to grow, and find ways to get better every single day? So that's your challenge. That's your opportunity. And as we continue to move forward in this year and through our life, we know that there are going to continue to be more changes and more opportunities for growth and more opportunities for development. So I encourage you to make sure that your soil is ready, because this is the new normal now, but tomorrow we might have a new normal. And so we got to make sure we're prepared for it. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for always being with me. Enjoy the rest of your meeting. Enjoy the rest of your day.